What's going on, everyone? Nick from Subimods here today, and we have our first special guest, actually. Devin is first off, partner to us, but much more than that in the racing scene, right? You do a lot. You have a lot of history in the sport, a lot of history with Subaru. So we wanted to bring her on as our first guest just because we got this off the ground this year, obviously, with the sponsorship, and she's been doing a lot in the industry with education, just a lot of brand recognition on kind of, brand recognition on brands, but racing in the whole industry. So thank you for coming on. Give me a bit of just a 30,000 foot overview, who you are, where you've come from, what gets you here today, and, we'll start it up.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. I'm super pumped about this. Yeah. Who I am, I basically come from a family that's not super into cars, so I've been the weird car kid in school, like carrying around car books, like literally probably harassing shops to like teach me how to work on cars. I was like, oh, I can sweep floors to learn how to do this.
Yeah, get in the picture.
Yeah, so I didn't know how to do anything other than change oil. So bothered all these people forever, and then chased a path to engineering because I wanted to be an engineer. I never thought I'd be a driver. I was always like, I'm going to design these car parts and make these cars go faster.
For sure.
So followed that career path, got my associates first, and did CAD CAM, and was actually able to make the parts. Wanted to expand a little bit further on that and actually help the companies test and develop them. So then that's when I went back, got my 4-year, and was able to work with some companies testing parts on my car, and actually doing some race engineering and actually setups on like actual pro race cars, and learn how to do that. And it's kind of been a journey that accidentally led me to doing HPDE to test some cars, and that happy accident has turned into a very expensive hobby that I love so much now.
But that's the key, right? Is that's how the best things start, is they're not planned. Right? They just kind of fall, fate has its way and it works out.
Right? I wouldn't have it any other way.
So, and that kind of leads us into the next question is, why Subaru, right? As a platform. We spoke a little bit, off camera on like, hey, like, maybe in a different world, you would still be doing it, not in Subaru, but we're in this one, so.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I think I would always still do the Subaru. It spoke to me because like my first love was a GTO Judge, right? Okay, so hear me out on this one.
we're going on.
And you hear that lop, and it just like broke my neck at a young age, and I was like, why does that car sound different? That's amazing, and I was just obsessed with it, right? And then I heard a Subaru, and I was like, that sounds way different. It was literally the boxer motor sound that had me like, that's a happy mix between a tuner and a muscle car. It doesn't sound ricey. It's not.
It's that rumble.
Yes, exactly. And I was obsessed. And the more I started learning about the Subaru and like, how it came from like the airplanes, and because I went to Embry-Riddle, so I went a little down the engineering side. So learned a little bit about that, and just like learning about these motors, like, yes, they're the pain in the ass to work on compared to other models, but it's just kind of cool still, I'm sad I don't have the unequal header lengths anymore, because that's my favorite part. But, you got to do it for reliability, for racing.
Well, it's funny you say that, because we just were talking and people were saying, is the EJ, you hear that comment a lot of like EJs are outdated, and it's like, well, obviously in engineering, if something works, you don't really change it.
No, not unless you need to.
And there's little things they've improved upon, and there's little things you can do to build on the platform to make it more reliable. But at the end of the day, we kind of agreed that the biggest actual reliability issue on the EJ is the people working on it and maintaining it.
100%.
Because at the end of the day,
yes,
hate to say it, but machine is only as good as the person standing behind it.
Yeah.
Right? It's going to do what it does. So, it's one of those things where I guess, for us, we look at it as these are kind of like tools, the cars themselves, but there's still passion behind it. It's
100%.
Not just driving.
Exactly. Right? Exactly.
One of the second questions is obviously around Subaru. Like, what's I guess we could do favorite experience and worst experience with it, right? Because that wasn't on the sheet, but we're gonna bounce and see best and worst.
Okay.
Around the car specifically.
Oh man. Okay. Favorite experience is probably, honestly, racing it. It's when it works, racing it.
Yep.
It is just amazing, you know, and having that open dump wastegate, I feel like a 5-year-old. I'm like, yeah, getting into it. I'm so excited.
No, but that's really what you're buying, right?
Yeah.
What you're paying for is that excitement.
Like, honestly, because I could even be like not doing that great on track, or, you know, there's a lot of traffic or something. It's just, and, you know, I just hear it and I'm like, you know what, this is pretty fun still.
Yep.
Yeah.
Everyone has that experience where you get in a car if you haven't driven something with a performance-oriented vehicle in a while, and you get in something that's even mildly performance-oriented. You're like, all right, it still fits.
Right.
It still does it. Like, all right.
Exactly.
Still
Yeah.
making it work.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the best part is when stuff works.
Yes.
Right?
Exactly. Yes.
Because the natural order of things is we expect, obviously, in racing and motorsport and even modifying a car, that at some point something's going to break.
Right.
So when it doesn't, it's kind of like, all right.
Yeah.
We're moving here. Like,
I'm
nothing
hoping,
bad happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably then that my least favorite sometimes is like, I'm all about developing and knowing that things aren't going to go right the first time in any platform you choose and anything you do.
Yeah.
But you can't lie that it's frustrating, especially when it happens on track, or, you know, you're just spending endless nights, like Chris and I, so many nights and so many things you have to give up to make sure if you want to build an actual race car, you know, things break more.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes I'm just like, why did I modify this thing? You know?
Yeah, I know. There's days where you sit back and we were again just talking about this on the last iteration we did, where we talked about the BRZ and it going into the wall, and I know you had a similar incident with, you know,
Twice.
I think it was Lime Rock, right, the last one. But
Yeah.
The comeback from that, I think people underestimate how difficult it is.
Yeah.
We didn't actually really talk about it a lot because we haven't had a chance to like debrief the last time, but like going back out after an incident, like even something light like what happened to our car, where it's just it's just like literally a skid pad day. Like getting back out, I was like, oh man, I do not want to do that again. Like, and you drive pretty rough for a couple hours in the morning to shake out the like, all right, like I'm back, like, you know, do it. And you just have to have a short memory with it.
Yeah, and understand what happens. That's kind of what helped me, is understanding where did I go wrong?
Yeah.
How can I fix it next time? You know, was I just pushing too far and got to bring it back in? Because that's what happened to me at Lime Rock.
Yeah.
But there was that aspect of, after Lime Rock, you know, we fixed the car, went to racing at Laguna, smashed it, like actually did really well. Went to CMP this year, and it's a similar setup as Lime Rock.
Yeah.
And I saw grass everywhere and instantly freaked out. I was like, what if I can't what if I can't avoid this again? Yeah. And I had to just get it out of my system and, you know, think logically, you know, and it just, it's hard sometimes. The instinct overrides that.
Yeah, and that's, I think, what some of the best drivers utilize, right? They just go to that primal portion of the brain where it's just do, no think.
Being an engineer sometimes does not help me because I have I have a factor of safety in my brain and a self-preservation factor also, and I'm like, I don't know about this.
But, you know, and we have the same thing because we talk about it a lot here, like Ryan and I, and even Steve will be like, we just overthink something so much that when you get out there, and like, I haven't done a ton of track driving. Chuck, one of our guys, does a little more. He's more into that. But like overthinking is a killer.
Yes. Yeah. Any of my like instructors that I work with, like one of the guys, he's an amazing driver, Thomas Merle. He's like, oh, just don't think about that. Only think about your perfect lap. And I'm like, and I try so hard to like, because that's how he does it. He's like, I only vision my perfect lap, and I try, and I did that at Road Atlanta, and that helped a lot. But man, is that
you have to think about it.
Hard, you know, because you have to block out, like, it's like when you're trying to not have negative thoughts. You got to block it out and think, you know, don't think of the elephant. Like, you got to think of the other stuff.
Yeah, exactly. But eventually, it's going to hit you.
Yeah, and so, like, I love that some people are so able to do that. And it takes me sometimes a couple laps. Sometimes it takes me a full day on a certain track to feel it out, you know. But I will say, once I have a pro lap, like somebody do a lap in my car, and then I have that data, I'm good.
Yeah.
That's, for me, that's what I need. I'm like, oh, it can do it? I might not be able to do what you did, but I know the car can, sending it.
And that's funny you said that, because my fiance's brother is very good at drifting, started very young, and, you know, I think I'm doing good. I sit with him in the same car, and I'm just like,
yeah.
doing right good. I'm like, well, on one hand, I get out of it, and I'm like, if he can do that, maybe.
Right, exactly. Like, you can learn.
That, like, because you'll sometimes think you're fighting the car.
Yeah. No, you're fighting yourself.
Right? Because then someone else gets in it and goes, yeah, no, the car's perfect. Like, I don't know what you're doing.
Right.
And I'm like, God damn,
Yep.
like, all right, I guess. That was my one cop out, was the car wasn't performing.
Oh yeah, and when I work with other drivers, like doing like car chief or stuff, it's always, you'll have those drivers that will say the same thing. Oh, the car setup. But our pro driver is like, just drive the car. It's fine. And you know, it makes me feel a little bit more comfortable, because even at their levels, they're still struggling sometimes to get out of their own head and just trust the car. Yeah. Sometimes it is the car. Don't get me wrong.
There's stuff that goes wrong.
Yeah, but a lot of times I would argue to say probably about 70 to 80% is probably driver.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and being off of it. And I mean, that gets us to a good point, right? So we talk about, one of the things we did this with the drifting segment was, what does someone need to get out there and start driving on the track, right?
Yeah.
You know, my thing was safety, right? That was the first thing. Like, you need to be able to stop.
Yeah.
You know, like, yes, your new WRX can perform. Like, you can probably drive it off the lot and get out on a, you know, mild road course and drive for some laps.
Yeah.
But eventually the brakes are going to get hot.
Oh yeah.
You're going to lose them.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, you know, a seatbelt's great. You want to use it, but it's not a harness system that's going to keep you in there. Right?
Yeah.
Factory vehicle still has airbags.
Yeah.
It's not fun if something happens. And then on top of that, OEM tires, they're not great on the street. So, like, we try to tell people, like, hey, like, be very conscious of the things that protect you and keep you on the track.
Yes.
Because, yeah, you know, maybe a 300 horsepower car, you could argue, will be faster, and you're correct, right, down the straights. But, you know, you spec Miata guys.
Yeah.
They lose all the time on any straight segment.
But they're right there.
They're right on your tail in the infield. And they're having a ball doing it.
Yes.
And, you know, at the end of the day, they'll probably go through a set of Hawk pads maybe once every 5 or 6 events, where a turbocharged Subaru with huge 6-piston front brakes, probably burning out pads every couple events.
Yeah, absolutely.
So who's right or wrong? But I guess the point I make is, what do you think, obviously, is what's the first thing you would do if you wanted to get out on the track?
I would definitely, I agree with you, safety, like making sure you can stop. Like, so for my first track day, I definitely wasn't super prepared, but I did upgrade the pads and stainless lines and make sure my fluids and everything were going to be
that's a great
efficient.
Point, right? Pads are nothing if the fluid boils or the lines expand.
Exactly, so we did that. My tire choice was not the best. I went on like some 550 treadwear, like not understanding what was about to go down, you know. So you don't have to get like anything crazy, but just something that can at least handle.
It's something that's designed with a little bit of performance.
Yeah, because you're not like, especially if you're doing HPDE 1 through 2.
Yeah.
3, you start getting up there a little bit more, but 1 through 2, you're not doing really a lot. You're learning like car control. Yeah. You're learning like driver habits, you know, things like that. Like and I would
markings, you know,
right, and
just the track.
Yeah, and so as like far as seatbelt, I would still recommend everybody having a seatbelt until you have a welded in cage. Like, don't do the bolt-in stuff. Like, you know, and I would say, I guess unless you're doing it for looks, because something bad happens, that's going through the floor. That's not helping you. You know, I can say that because I also did that at first, because I was like, oh, it's cool, and then I was like, wait a minute.
I mean, there's age-old jokes of people, and they're not really jokes, but they're serious mistakes of people bolting harnesses to the lower seat mounts, and accidents happen, and, you know, takes your collarbones out.
Bad,
Or worst case scenario, you do, you know, even eye bolts into the factory seatbelt positions, and God forbid, you have a hard front-end collision.
Yeah. Which can happen in HPDE, especially like my first time I raced the Road Atlanta. Yeah. And it was raining. Yeah. And we're going downhill, and you know, like any rookie driver, sometimes if you're scared, you're following the car in front of you, which if
you're not even looking where he's going.
If they're pitting, which that's not a good idea, because I was like straddling the grass, and then my other tires were on the gator. We're going down turn 11, 12. And I'm like, oh, well, I guess we're both dying. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. We're both about to happen.
Yeah.
And that's the tough thing is, like, you know, it doesn't cost a lot to get on the track, right? HPD events out here, some of them, I think, mass tuning is even like $300, $400, $500 for a day.
Yep.
It's a lot of driving.
Yes. Yep.
But everything else that goes into it.
Yeah.
to make sure you can drive
Yeah.
the whole day
Yeah.
and then just go home that night.
Yeah.
That's the expensive part.
Yeah, and I would say the other thing is like people like trying to, you want to do things to have your car look cool, which again, guilty of wanting the harnesses. I want it so bad, and then I realized.
I'm definitely putting Takatas in
Yeah,
there.
right. But then I also see like the steering wheel, like when you have the takeoff steering wheel, if you still don't do that until you have a proper harness. Like there's a reason that's there.
That's not gonna feel
That's
Yeah.
That can go really bad.
That's a free veneer job for
at a minimum.
Yeah.
So I would say safety, fluid wise, and just. I would say make sure you go with an organization that's also teaching you how to do stuff.
Yes.
Because I've done a couple like HPD things. They're fine, but like there's nobody teaching me what I'm doing wrong. Yeah. Or like if you don't have a passenger seat, because I know some people they start with their race car and they do like lead follows.
Yeah.
And have a radio and have somebody teach you your bad habits, because like you don't know what you don't know and you need somebody to call you out for it.
No,
Guilty.
And it's actually crazy you bring that up, because like we were just talking before we started about when we went to Las Vegas and did the I can't remember the company. I'm gonna have to look at the photo. And
Was it the extreme thing?
Yeah, it's like the drive. They let you drive the Huracan.
Yeah.
But they put you in the passenger seat, mic'd up, and the guy will literally educate you through every piece.
Yeah.
20% throttle, 30%, 40%, 50%,
Yeah.
60% brake, and you find that is actually so helpful.
Yes.
And he's telling me 20% brake when I'm like, dude, I should be like stopping the car 100% right now.
Right.
But it actually allows you to get a lot out of the day rather than just say, oh, I went out here and it was fun, but I don't really get it.
Yeah.
You want to have fun.
Yeah, you're learning your car control too. You're getting and then that to the HPDE stuff. I swear every driver on these streets should do that at least once, because it would just make you a better driver overall. No,
and you're 100% right. I mean, understanding the closing time of a car, right? How quick can your vehicle stop? I mean, on the road, how many people, right? And this is, you guys can, debate this, but how many people have ever put their car in a position where you've put your foot to the floor?
Yeah.
100% brake input.
Yep.
It's not easy to do.
No.
And it's very hard to be able in your mind when you're driving on the street, you got your phone going off, your music is on, car in front of you, brakes.
Yeah. And then what do? Do you jerk the wheel? Do you do it smoothly? Do you counter steer? Like there's things like you will learn there, that'll help you.
It'll translate.
It's just I think those are the biggest things. Like, and just go with an open mind to learn what the instructors are saying. Like
don't think you're a pro on day one either, because that's what we talked about the other day, where I felt I was doing so good driving after the first day that I got out there the second day and I'm like, dude, I got this.
Yeah.
Cold track, cold car, wall. It was 1, 2, 3, and I got out of the car, and people were like, "What happened?" And I was like, "Me."
Yeah. I mean, I still do it. Like, I'm no pro, right? I'm still very green in this, but like the Road Atlanta, my first session, I don't know what was in it. I think I was excited. I was the first car out, and I'm like sweating. I'm like, oh, first car of the morning. I need to get out there. And I always said it to myself, cold brain, cold tires, got it. But
still did it,
looped it. And I was like, nobody saw it. It was on the live stream. Everybody saw it. But, I was like, shh, nobody saw that. We're fine. We just full 360.
And it happens. But that's a lot of that's what learning is.
Yeah.
You're gonna, like you said earlier, you're going to make mistakes doing this.
Yeah.
It's impossible that you don't.
And if you're not making mistakes, sometimes you're not pushing yourself far enough. That's what I've learned, because I'm a very conservative person. You can tell on track when I'm nervous and I'm trying to feel things out, I will hit the same time every single time. Like, I think I did like 138s 5 times in a row.
Yeah.
And then I started trying something a little different, but it's just like, that consistency makes you feel safe, and I like feeling safe sometimes. But we're racing. We're trying to not just be safe.
Trying to move.
Yeah.
It happens. But and now, so obviously, started with what would you do to get out on the track. So let's pivot to what is your favorite modification that you've done.
Okay.
Right.
I'm gonna sound like a 5-year-old about this, because all right. It's the noises for me that make me so excited. Okay, so it's the blow-off valve, it's the turbo noises, and it's the wastegate dump. I'm just like, you just hear that shh, I'm like, yes, and I don't know. It just makes it so like fun, you know.
Well, it's like also shout out Marty and the team at Turbo.
Marty,
right?
yes,
Marty,
it's his fault. I started out with his blow off valve.
Yeah.
Like I blame him, you know.
I mean, but hey, at the end of the day, like, you know, that I always tell people you gotta express yourself some way.
Yeah.
So it's funny when people will come on and say, what should I do to my car? And I'm like, what do you
What do you like? What do you like? What brings you?
What
Yeah.
part? Like, you're asking me. I don't own it.
Yeah.
I'm not paying for the modifications. You like, what do you like?
Yeah.
And some people, obviously, actually, I think a large majority start with sound.
Yeah.
Because it's what you hear.
Yep. Yep. And then the turbo, you feel the boost. You're like, oh, okay. Yeah. You know, you start getting into that. Yeah. And then you add the like the external wastegate where you hear, I was sold. I was like, okay, if I'm gonna lose the rumble, I'll have the external wastegate to like keep me happy.
and that's the part that's awesome about race cars right now still is you can have all of that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Sometimes now it's a little different with the street where there's certain things that we are
Right.
no longer really
Right. Yeah.
pushing, but at the end of the day, there's still ways to hear it.
No, yeah, and you could still have the blow-off valve, or you could do
Exactly.
like a variation of a bypass. You know,
Yeah.
like it's something.
Yeah, there's actually still
Yeah.
carb-approved blow-off valves. I think Cobb and a few others for our customers in California.
Yeah.
Bypass valves. Right?
Yes.
You're not going to hear them a ton, but
You still can.
some
Yeah.
percentages.
Yeah.
It's a
Exactly.
little better than stock. That's
Yeah.
what I tell people. It's
100%.
better than what we have.
Yeah. Yeah.
So one of the kind of next things is like if someone had just purchased their car, what would be the first recommendation to increase performance?
Performance, I will go with everything to help mechanical grip.
Yeah.
You know, I will go with brakes, tires, suspension.
Yeah.
Don't do anything else.
Yeah.
If your car is going to overheat, okay, make sure it's cooling and
Yeah.
can take the laps. Do the seat time. Use the mechanical grip.
Yeah.
Because that will make you a faster driver. Because knowing better, I just had an opportunity to have a lot more power sooner than I should have.
Yeah.
Man,
Tough.
we took it back. You know, that's part of the reason we took it back because I had so much horsepower. I didn't know what to do with all
Yeah.
that. I went from like 300 to like 660, and I was like, oof.
Yeah,
That's,
it's a
that
lot.
is intense.
Well, it
you know?
forces you to relearn the whole car.
Yeah,
Power
yeah.
band's different. Everything changes.
How do you interpret it? Like, how is the car? Yeah. So, I mean, going back and staying within the mechanical grip before you put on the aero, before you put on that, and really understanding your car. You know, at least I had a solid year of that, so that helped. But you know, sometimes I think you need more. If somebody like me, I need a little bit more consistency. So
Yeah.
I probably could have done another year. You know, I'm not taking off my aero now, but we did detune it so I could work on some bad habits you have if you just put too much power.
Like core components.
Yeah,
core fundamentals.
you will be a better driver. You know, and you'll get more out of your car. Honestly, if
Yeah.
you just learn like how to use that mechanical grip and how to use your momentum and you know.
That's a good point, like the mechanical use of the vehicle, right? And we just talked about this again, not to bring up the BRZ, but we talked about one of the reasons we thought it went around was it didn't have any arms. So in drifting, you want almost zero camber.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Completely flat. It had about 3 degrees of camber on both sides. Not good.
Yeah.
Straighten that thing completely up. The car it's literally like a reinvented car.
Yeah.
Now, were those modifications fun? Were they flashy? Is anyone going to
Right.
look at them and go
Yeah.
like, oh, that's so sick that you have the upper control arm from
Right.
Cusco? Like,
Yeah.
no, not really.
Yeah.
And, you know, unfortunately, if you're like me, you learn by putting it in the wall that you're like, yeah, I would have liked to have had the wheels, you know,
Yeah.
completely flat, you know, a little bit more grip might
Right.
have helped. But if you can learn that before you have a mistake
Yes.
and utilize the whole potential of the
Yep.
vehicle,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, maybe again there's cars with more horsepower, but at that point, who's the better driver?
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of like, again, like go back to like my goal this year.
Yeah.
If I can hit the same times with like almost 200 horsepower less,
Yeah.
and my car is heavy, it's like 3,500
That's a big
pounds,
car,
okay?
yeah.
So if I could do that at a heavier car and hit those same times, I'm obviously performing better.
Absolutely.
You know, and you know, I'm constantly upgrading my suspension mods with better companies and
Yep.
trying to like even work with them to develop things. Like if I sometimes go off-roading and hit certain curbs we should not hit,
Yeah.
you know, as we're pushing the limits. And, you know, I give them feedback on how that is, and we can reinvent things together and make it withhold the abuse of that heavy car hitting that, you know, and it helps.
That's a big benefit, right? Obviously, having companies that are willing to take that input, right?
Yes.
Fortune Auto. for
Yes,
example.
Fortune Auto is amazing at that. SPL even,
Yep.
they're so good, yeah.
Yeah, and they make these products that, yes, they are designed by them, but they're not solely, like, I guess you could say, solely sitting at the top of the pyramid going, yeah, we're going to make it this way.
Yeah.
There's feedback.
They want
coming
feedback.
Up, right?
They love
because
it.
That's how you improve the product.
Yes. Yes.
And that's how it actually becomes more relevant for the end user.
Yeah.
And not, not to say customers don't see that, but that is something that's largely hidden from the end user when you buy a, $1,400 set of coilovers or $1,500 set. They're like, oh yeah, I'm going to lower my car. It's like, well, there's a lot underneath that product.
So much R&D.
There's hundreds of hours that go into it. It's not, bolt it together and just say, all right, here you go.
Yeah.
You can lower your car an inch and a half or something like that.
Yeah.
So.
And it's hard to make that like glamorous online, and talk about that aspect of when you're like doing the R&D and stuff like that with these companies. I don't know. But it's been cool to start with the stock car and see how much body roll and just how bad, and remember how that felt, and then do the progression. I think some people want to go from point A to point B instantly, but it's kind of beneficial to like do the progression because you understand what's changing, you don't want to go like you said A to like Z. You almost want to just go A, B, C, D, E, F, right? Learn
and
about
actually
it.
Space it out.
Yep.
Because the reality of it is then you never really know what one upgrade did or didn't do.
Yes, you can't give me feedback. If I'm your engineer for your car, you can't give me feedback on how to set it up better for you. And because you don't know, know. And then if you're doing it at home by yourself, then you're not gonna know what to tell the suspension company or somebody about like, well, what went wrong here?
Yeah.
I don't know, oversteer somewhere. But like where?
Yeah, and they're creating a lot of points of issue and risk, right? You're installing 10 different modifications.
Yeah, and you just maybe that's not what you need.
It's like building 10 Lego sets at the same time.
Literally.
You're gonna miss a piece.
Yeah.
And it's gonna come up somewhere, and you're gonna be like, needed that one.
Yeah,
right?
It's been cool to keep like the before and after photos of certain turns where the body roll, especially on like turn 3 at Road Atlanta, is heavy, and I'm going over those curves, and I'm seeing now how my car just like is so much more rigid. I'm like, yes, that feels so much better. With lower center of gravity, we're doing better here,
Yeah. So I'm gonna pivot a little bit. I'm gonna talk about something general.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
It's women being involved in motorsport, and you think really what I want to garnish is I've always been a believer that if we could make racing and motorsport use more inclusive, right, bring in everyone, we would have a better chance of the industry growing.
Oh, for sure,
I remember when I started, there was a kind of culture around where it was a very niche, like, all right, it's going to just be this group of people that does it. But now it's completely different. You go to events like Wicked Big Meat or Subi Fest, and the diversity is all across the board. And it's extremely cool to see more women getting into driving and being involved in motorsport because it is a largely male-dominated sport that's ultimately been that way for a while. So I kind of want to see like what your opinion is of it, what you're getting from your fans. Like I know you have some stories about some fans who are very appreciative of you being there. So kind of want to just touch on that from a high level.
Yeah, so I just started by, I'm not a feminist by any means, but I love that it is starting to become more inclusive. I really do love seeing other women out there. I wouldn't trade my guys that have been supporting me for anything. Like they're solid people, but it is kind of exciting to see other women think like, oh, I can do that because I think just opening that door for them is like the biggest thing to see. I didn't know I could do that, and
making it an option.
Yes, absolutely. I think that's been the best thing. Like there's plenty of times where I'm still the only chick racing. It is what it is. Everybody, we know each other. We're fine. It's a good time. But I don't know. I love seeing how it's growing. I love seeing how more women are coming into STEM. And we're just, like you said, we're being more inclusive. You know, I have, I have like interns that come under me sometimes. And my last one, he was a guy, and he's doing really well now. He's doing Formula Drift now. With what is it, the Sorsons, and then he's doing a Ferrari World Challenge team. And then I have a couple girls underneath me. Like I love helping the newer generation be like, this is what you can do. And seeing what they do with it too is really cool. But I think it's becoming a lot better because I remember my first track day was not super inclusive. They were not. And it was also kind of in the South.
So
they were not.
There's a different kind of.
I'm rolling up with a Subaru, it's like, it's
an uphill battle.
It was kind of, I won them over eventually. They're nice at heart, but it's more of like, I think some of these older clubs are like so much, you know, like the good old boy clubs. They've known each other forever. They don't want new people.
Yeah.
But it's nice to see that that's changing. They're kind of like, oh, okay, this is fun. I think because they wanted to protect what they had made. They made this fun sport that they're having fun with their friends, beers after, no drama. You know, and it's nice to see that they're kind of giving the newer generation of like women and even like guys to be into this. You know, with the different cars. You know, they're being more accepting.
Well, because at the end of the day, it's motorsport.
Yeah.
Whether it's, you know, whatever type of car, whoever you are as a person, right? Like, you want to drive?
Yeah.
We'll have you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, that's it. That's the simple way of looking at it.
Yeah.
And now even, I think, like, it's cool to see, like, up here there's a club, and I don't know who's running it, but I think it's Drift Kitchen. And it's
I've heard of them.
All women that go out, and they started, and I remember, I think it started, and I apologize to the group if I'm butchering the history, but I believe it started as roughly like a kind of sticker and like a club.
Yeah.
And now it's turned into, they're actually renting like skid pad areas and doing their own events.
I saw that, because I followed a couple of the girls that were doing that, and just to see it progress, like, that is so cool.
Yeah. And like they're moving too.
Yeah.
Like they are driving better than me.
They're doing
and
good.
Like, and I'm saying to people, I'm like, I want to get my fiance out there and like, learn. Like, what's the risk of learning and doing something fun, right?
And that helps other women feel safer sometimes too, because they're worried they're going to be like judged by a guy or in an uncomfortable situation, and that you might feel a little bit more safer starting with a woman. Like, off topic, for me, for jiu-jitsu, like having a women's only class really helped me feel more comfortable to like, now I can roll with guys and I'm good. Yeah, but like feeling like, okay, I can do this, because you get worried that how am I going to stack up to this, and just building that confidence and having that support, and then being able to go mingle with everybody. I think that should be the goal.
Well, and it's also, like, you don't underestimate this. Like, it is intimidating for any person to show up to a track day. Like, I mean, if you're new, it's like almost, I hate to say it, like showing up to, high school on day one without anything.
Literally.
And not knowing where anyone is or knowing anyone or knowing where any classes are. And you're just like, what do I do with my hands?
Yes.
Like, where do I park?
Seriously.
Like, who do I talk to? Like, where's the tech line? Like,
exactly.
And it's, you feel naturally, like as a human, I think, we feel embarrassed. And then there's like a bit of shame.
Yeah.
Because you're like, but like, how else? I even felt it like the first time I went. I was like, dude, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And naturally, I'm like, well, how would I?
Yeah, you will start from somewhere.
Yeah,
and
like,
I think
how this is so new that if this is your first time doing this, you're not going to know where anything is. But then you literally go one pit stall over and you're like, hey, like, where's the tech line? And the guy's like, oh, I'll show you, come on.
And you're best friends forever. Like, it's great.
Yeah. It's like, oh, man, like, I didn't bring this tool. He's like, I got it.
Yeah, or Billy down there has it, let's go talk to him. Yeah, it's great.
And then there's crazy, like, you get to the point where only a few hours in, the guy's cooking next door. He's like, hey, you want a steak?
Yeah, exactly.
And you're like, no, I'm good, dude. Yeah. And he's like, oh, all right, if you want anything, I'm here.
Yeah, no, it's turned into a big family. It's amazing. I love that. Yes, I love that. Yeah.
And that's what we're doing here. That's how we're trying to create that culture of where it's a whole weekend.
Yeah. That's so much fun, yeah.
And it's a passion.
And that's kind of the other reason, I guess, like Subarus, to kind of go back to that, is because I always felt like it was like a family. Like, you had a Subaru, somebody's like doing their peace sign or whatever sign they want to do to you, and it's like, you're like, oh, cool, friend. Yeah. You don't know this person, but we've been following each other on the highway, and now we're parked at the Starbucks having a car meet, like pop-up car meet, and like, I've been friends with people on the NASDAQ forums, like, to now, so it's funny, because like, this is my first Wicked Big Meet, and I'm super pumped about it, but people that I've been talking to for like 10 years are like, are you going? We're gonna go. Like, it's so cool.
and like, again, shout out Rob, Con, the whole team, like everyone for what they do, because they do something that, and Ryan actually was in full, like, I become, and I hate to say this, I become jaded to it, because we've been doing it since it was at Wachusett. It started at what is Wachusett? It's a mountain, like it's a park, right? Yeah, it's like, I think a park now, or like a snowboard park.
Oh, wow.
And it was like maybe like 500 people.
Oh my gosh, that's still a lot.
Watching it grow every year, like exponentially, like 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 5,000, 10. Yeah. To now, like, I come, I stand there and I'm just like, is this even real? Like, is there that many people here that like, and then it happens 5, 6 times a year in all different parts of the country.
That's crazy.
And we get the same feedback. People are like, this is so cool. This is I feel like this is, like, I would want to stay here for days. Yeah. And I'm like, all right, like, I've been up since 3 a.m. I have
Right.
a little bit different of an opinion.
Yeah,
I like to
yeah.
go home at 5, but 5 o'clock rolls around, and you're like, no, I could do another.
Yeah,
I could
right?
do another 10 hours of this. I could do this again tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because it highlights the culture.
It really does, yeah. And Subaru culture is so special. The people there are
one of
usually
the most
pretty
unique.
great. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun, you know, because like when I go to like a grid life or something, there's like 2 or 3 of us, and we're like,
Yeah.
hey, do you want to pit together? And then like here, it's like now we're like, oh, we come in.
Yeah, but that's naturally what happens, I think, when you see that at like Cars and Coffees or any meets. You'll see people naturally, you know, who've never met each other again. They're like, oh yeah, I like what you did here with this, or I like those rims, or where did you get that?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I didn't think about that. And it's like, it highlights that we're not much different.
Yeah.
There's
Absolutely.
so much like polarization today, like when
absolutely.
it comes to like, oh, what side of the political aisle are you on, or what do you believe? It's like, you get to a car meet,
You don't care. You're talking cars.
none of that stuff even comes up.
Yeah.
So you can see why it's a relief for people and why industries like this and what we do exist, because reality is people need an escape.
Yes.
Cars
It's
are
exactly. It's an escape.
And I can't blame them.
Yeah.
There's way worse things.
100%. This is the highlight for some people, and this is what keeps people going in some like bad times. You know, you're like, oh, well, at least I have my car. You know, it's so meaningful, and then to be able to share that with other people who think like that, it's great.
Yeah, it's shocking sometimes. We stand in booths, people are like, yeah, I've been waiting for this all year.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
Yeah. It humbles you a little bit, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
it literally does. It's like, how privileged am I to be serving that?
Yeah.
Right? That type of community that literally slaves away for 364 days out of the year
Yes.
to get their car ready and come out and show it.
Yeah.
And largely, you know, you talk to some of these people and yeah, they'll talk to you about their car, but they're largely going and talking to other people about their car.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's not
yeah.
like there's like a whole like, I'm better than yours or whatever
Yeah,
it is.
no.
It's just, we're here.
Yeah, and that's what I love about it, because like you can talk to sometimes some of these people that build these elite builds, and they're like drool worthy, don't have the money to do that. I'm almost scared to sometimes ask them for advice, like how did you set this up, you know? They're so helpful. They're like, oh, do you want to know? Here's what I did. Here's the part number for this. Like, do you want me to come by? And like, I'm just like, I love this.
But that's the whole thing, and there's never, it's changed a lot in the industry. I remember when I started, because I started in like 2011, and it was very, very core cult mentality of people were, you know, there wasn't as many people modifying Subarus back then.
Yeah.
But as it grew, it never lost that tribal feeling of like, if someone wants to be let in, yeah, you're gonna have your few that are, you know, what they are.
Yeah.
That's just.
Those people need therapy. They're
BetterHelp.com. That's a free plug for those people. But, you know, yeah, you're going to have 1 in your 100 that are tough.
Everywhere.
But the large majority, the 99 out of 100, are going to be willing to be like, yeah, I bought this here. I did this way. I did this because of this. And you're like, that's a lot different.
Yes.
It's a lot different than the way the world works now.
Yeah, and I think that's why it's refreshing. Everybody's just helping. We're not gatekeeping, you know. We're just helping each other out.
It's there to hide.
Yeah, exactly. That's what's refreshing about it, you know. Like you even asking for track advice, like how does your car do that here? Oh, well, I set my car up this way, and then I did this, and they'll even go review data with you on how they held the steering wheel or where they were. It's just so helpful, you know.
Well, that's like
amazing.
what I think too, like about like, you know, major motorsport, like Formula One or something. You look at, you know, some of the times where the cameras will pan and the drivers are talking to each other, and I'm like, they look like you're talking about how to drive. They look like they're talking about, you know, like what they're doing, and it's like, yeah, you watch maybe something like Drive to Survive, and they're like, there's such a hatred between the teams. It's like, so.
No, like there's plenty of guys, you know, and being in the class that I'm in with my car built for 2 different series, it's a little tough, so I'm not always the most competitive.
Yeah.
But sometimes I start getting up there, and it's pretty exciting. But even the top dogs are like, oh, do you want to watch video and do this? It is so nice because they love the competition. They love seeing you out there. Like, you know, of course people want to win, but it's they want to see you improve what you did last time too, and just help you, because it's no fun. You can get your trophy if you're the only one there, or if there's only 3 of you there, sure. But is that as much fun when you're out there racing with your friends and then like, you're like, crap, they did better. I got to go back out there. It keeps it going. Yeah.
It's motivation, right?
But then you'll hype each other up because you're like, man, that was real good. I should have did that. It's
well, it's lonely at the top.
Yeah.
Right? If you're just, every race you're just sitting by yourself and you might win, but not having fun.
That's been great with like even the guys on Turn-In that I'm with. Like some of them, like I'm competing against them. They're still so helpful. Like one of the guys, Mike, he has a Subaru. We're competing literally. Even though the car is way lighter, way faster, we are not apples to apples. But still, same class, same goal, and still sits down and does data with me and looks at what we can do and even helps us in the car in the off season if we have questions on like what do we want to do. And it's just so nice,
So we're gonna flip the script a little bit and go back to what's been probably the most challenging part of your racing career.
People's opinions.
Really?
Yeah, I would say that because
opinions about the driving, the car, the
Probably, I think my driving, honestly, because like I said, I never started doing this thinking I could ever be a driver. I thought I was going to be engineer behind the scenes forever, and then being able to make this my dream. I love grassroots. I do not want to be a pro driver, just putting it out there. But I love being able to see what I can do with my dream car. Like, yes, there's other cars I would love to have, but the Subaru is still one of my dream cars that I think I'll hold on to forever. But I get a lot of people like either making posts about how, if you don't get the podium, go home, or, you're a filler person or like just comments that are just like, it's just that's unnecessary. And I feel like if you feel like you have the need to bully somebody that is chasing their dreams, betterhelp.com,
there's
but
a few sites
but
now.
Sometimes, that does get hard seeing that because like you are to build a car that's going to be competitive, I'm not confused on what that takes. It takes a lot of time and a lot of money, and those guys who are doing it are admirable, and I love that for you. I don't have that. I have a full-time job.
Yeah.
I just love it, and if it works out to be really great, hell yeah. My partners that have come on board have helped make this more capable than I could have done without their help, so I'm really blessed with that opportunity. But, I think sometimes trying to just remember not to listen to like the keyboard warriors sitting behind the desk, because it's usually not the competitors that have anything to say negatively. It's always people that aren't doing it. But, I never thought that would bother me sometimes, but it does. Cause like they'll call you out like, what are you doing here? Why are you even out there? Like just put the car in the wall already. And I'm like, dang.
Yeah, negativity is weird. It's really bad. It's gotten worse, obviously. I think social media has perpetuated kind of a cycle of failure is more rewarding to other people, right? Seeing someone fail, they see more of a benefit in that than seeing someone succeed. But, it's actually, I'll be honest, to the point where from our side, from even a business side, I've deleted all my social media.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
I won't do it. Because,
I don't blame you,
because, it's hard when it's your passion.
Yeah.
People forget, like, this is not, like, and I equate this business similar to what your passion is for driving, right? But when you're saying, oh, you suck, you're not just saying I'm not good at what I do, which, again, that's an opinion, right?
Right, yeah.
You're entitled to whatever you want to feel, but you're saying that my whole, like, what I am isn't worth it. And,
absolutely.
Like, that's a deep cut. And... yeah, one comment a week. All right.
Yeah.
Shake that off.
Yeah.
Happening 2, 3, 4, 5 times a day.
And by who says it? Like sometimes you see the certain people that say it and like what companies they own. You're like, oh, that was public. Okay. You know what I mean?
And I almost wish it's like I think giving I heard something the other day that there's like a lobbyist or someone lobbying for like 45 minutes a day on social media max. And I'm like, I'm not thinking that's a bad thing, because the funny thing is I feel like, and we talked about this offline, is if we could get those people, those negative people, just put them in a room in person, I think the perception would be very different.
Yeah, maybe.
Right? Like I think I don't personally think they'd be rude.
They wouldn't say it to your face. That's sometimes I think people need to go back to punch people in the face, honestly. Like, not that violence is the answer, but there's been no consequences for people's actions, other than other people taking it out on themselves, which that other person doesn't learn the lesson. Like, I don't know what your parents taught you, but if you don't have nothing nice to say, don't say it. You know, like, you can talk about your friends, have your opinions, and, you know, we can all do better individually probably, you know, but like, you don't have the right to sit here and bully somebody because they didn't podium or didn't do what you thought they should do and say they don't deserve to be out there. If you're making the effort to go out there, you deserve to be out there. And if you're sitting on the keyboard to type it, what are you doing? You're not doing anything to be out there, you know?
Well, because you also don't know what that does. And again, one person, the people, I feel like obviously, we talk about this a lot, is the people on the other side of who are throwing the stone don't really care, truthfully, or don't even know that there's collateral damage.
No, they're just projecting their bad day or something.
And the thing that we always see, and we see this a lot, like we saw this a lot with the 22 WRX, it's just a big parallel, but it's a larger one, but people saying, oh, it looks like garbage.
Yeah.
I didn't want to swear.
We've been doing so good.
Yeah, exactly. We've had a good run. You know, it's not a good looking car. It looks like a Honda. It looks like this, and it's like, okay, like, I mean, maybe the styling's not for everyone. No one likes when stuff changes.
Yeah.
But does that person continually perpetuating that cycle in a world that largely is based on social media and public perception? Some young, maybe boy, girl, whoever, man, woman, person, whoever is looking at that car, maybe goes, I don't want to buy that now.
Yeah.
Or maybe there's a young girl who's wanting to drive, sees these comments, right?
Yeah.
Follows you, sees these comments, and goes, oh man, like.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. No.
And that's the collateral damage that like social media does, and the people who do it don't even think about it. Largely, or don't even care about it.
No, they don't care.
And the sad part is again, it's just, it doesn't need to be there.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I think that's been just mind-blowing. Like, why did you need to say, like, you want to talk to your friends? Okay. Okay, go talk to your friends. We've all done it, 100%, you know? But why did you need to post it? Like, that's just, how much attention do you need? You know, or justification. Yeah, it's tough because, but like you said, like I have some young fans, and it is very humbling to see them. But I get worried because I'm like, do I want, like even in my engineering field, do I want to promote you being in this field when it's in this industry? Sometimes when it's, you're so pure, please just stay there. You know, I don't want to expose you to this, even though they're gonna have to. But it does sometimes get to the point where you question, do I want to motivate people to be here? You know, and I think the community needs to take a little bit more responsibility for how they behave. You know,
and like, how you interact with people. And remember that these are still people who share the same passion as you. Right? And that's the funny thing is, I imagine these people are following you. They largely have the same passion as you. So we're probably more alike
than not.
Than not. Like, that's why, I mean, you put us all in a room, and if I don't know you were negatively commenting to me, I probably will interact with you just the same as we are here. Have the same dialogue. No one would be any of the wiser. But, again.
I've had
my
some
presidential campaign pitch.
I've had some people on like technical articles or something that I've written. I think somebody didn't like the tool. Went a dissertation. Met this person in person. They didn't know who I was because my name's Devin. You know, I'm a dude, right? But nicest guy ever. At the end of it, I was like, oh, by the way, I wrote that Moto IQ article, and he's like, oh, just like flush. But we like. Besides that, we actually had a really good conversation. I was like, why couldn't we do this in person? You know, like
that's the best. That's a great point, and I think that's a great closeout. Is people don't know. Like people think that you can just comment something, and sign off and go on to your day. It's like you don't realize like, that can be a cut. You know,
100%.
It can be a deep cut. And I mean that brings us to like where you're interested in motorsport, right? You want to follow what you're doing. You want to follow the project, right? Young, old, whoever you are. Where can people watch you drive, right? I know you had said sometimes the grid lights are covered, but where can they go? Where are you planning on driving? What's the next step?
So I post everything either on my LinkedIn or Instagram. Those are probably where I'm the most consistent. You know, but for as far as watching driving, you know, Global Time Attack does really good on their YouTube, and they started doing Instagram live streaming, so that's really cool. And Grid Life streams all of that. So I mostly do like the bigger live stream ones, and you know, and I post when I go there, and I try to keep updated. Man, it is hard to race and keep updated because I'm not focused on that.
That's why all the race teams have PR.
Exactly. Right? But no, like they're pretty good about like like posting those live links to go watch racing. So yeah, either the Global Time Attack stuff or the Grid Life stuff, and I post my schedule on my Instagram and LinkedIn so that we can see what events I'm doing, when I'm going out,
And Grid Life allows spectators for most tracks, right?
Yeah,
So
does Global Time Attack. Yep. They both do a lot of spectators. And
so you can get there, you can get out there in person, and I mean, you're going all around. I think you'll be up here, or you'll be up this way in August.
Yeah, we'll be right back at Lime Rock. We're going to do it again. Hey, next weekend we'll be at Gingerman for Midwest Fest, so it comes pretty fast. But, Laguna's coming up soon too. Those will be live streamed. And anybody can show up, just get a spectator ticket and come out and hang out. This isn't pro racing, and that's kind of why, I love pro racing for job stuff. Obviously not my career job because that's different engineering, but I love how that's really excluded, and you don't get bothered and it's blocked off. But grassroots racing, when I'm out there, I love the fact that anybody can come up. You literally can come to my paddock and just sit there and hang out. You want to help put that wheel on.
Exactly. You got something going? Bring anything.
Right. Yeah. So that's what I love. If you ever see me out there, definitely come say hi. And it's gonna be fun. I don't know. I love it that it's a big community.
Absolutely. And I mean that wraps up. We got just now 50 minutes of coverage. So again, thank you for coming out.
Thank you for having me.
We appreciate it. Obviously, by the time this airs, we will have already attended Wicked Big Meet. But for anyone who wants to come out, see Devin drive, you have obviously 4 or 5 more chances this year?
Yep. So it'll be Lime Rock, and we'll be doing Boxer Fest right after that. I think we have a Midwest Subi Fest one.
Midwest,
so we'll be out there doing that. We'll be Gingerman. We still have Road America. That's going to be real huge. And then Laguna Seca. So
there's plenty of times to come out, see her drive, and interact with the Subaru community. We'll put all your social links in the footer. And then again, thank you everyone for tuning in and watching. We appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me.